Wa alaikum
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
assalam.
How's life in Palestine?
Alhamdulillah,
Huh?
I haven't spoken to them recently.
Huh?
I haven't spoken to them recently.
For some time now. How are you? Fine? Going strong like ever? As ever? Huh? MashaAllah. And have you invented something new in computers? Not yet. But you did something wonderful last time. And you made a program for yourself, which is quite expensive in the market, isn't it? MashaAllah. Shall we start, please?
Yes, yesterday Hazur kindly shared with us some events about his visit to Germany.
Yes.
Would Hazur like to add more about his visit to Belgium and Holland?
What would you like to inquire? Because it's a long report, you know. I spent a very busy time there. Mostly it was meeting with the various groups and answering their questions. The question and answer sessions will be reproduced, inshallah, in good time in Arabic. So instead of my telling you what happened and what influence did it create, let the audience and the viewers judge for themselves the, the impact of such meetings and sessions with the non-Ahmadis in particular. Some came well prepared, some Arabs particularly, who belong to, I think, Al-Maghrib or somewhere about. They were their religious leaders. They had come after having studied the anti-Ahmadiyya literature and had done their homework very well. And the way they asked questions, they were so confident they appeared in the beginning. But in the end, I was surprised for them to try to seek straws from drowning, to put their hand on straws from keeping them drowning. They started with the Quran, of course. And I said, all right, let's decide the issue of Khatm Nubuwwat in the light of the Quran. Now, stick to this claim and we'll see. So I presented 4 and 5 verses of the Quran, and the gentleman, he was a gentleman, he was absolutely nonplussed. Not a word could be uttered. And I repeatedly said, look here, this is what you demanded. This is Quran, this is Quran, this is Quran. And try to suggest a meaning other than what we believe it to be, the meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin with reference to these verses. Absolutely quiet. Then he said, all right, shall I some hadith? So, La Nabi Abadi, he insisted. I said, okay, we'll come to hadith, all right. But is there only one hadith in the world, or there are some others as well? So he said, yes, there are others. I said, why don't we put them together and try to read the underlying meaning in the light of the collective instruction of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. So when I finished this, imagine, he was noble enough not to deny the argument as bogus or meaningless. So it went on escaping into another corner of escape. So he said, all right, why didn't the Sahaba of Hazrat Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam understand this, and why did they believe in the Khatamiyat as he thought, as the mullahs of today understand? I said, they never did. Who told you this? All the evidence we know is that Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anha, when she heard somebody announce in the streets, Annahu la nabiyya ba'dahu, la nabiyya ba'dahu, she called him towards her and said, Qulu annahu khatamun nabiyyin, wa la taqulu annahu la nabiyya ba'dahu. Why did she say that? I said, that means that your contention that Sahaba was all united in the meaning of finality as you understand is completely destroyed by this hadith. And this is exactly what the old scholars of Islam have responded, how the old scholars of Islam have responded to this hadith. And they got divided. And a group among them, I mean, building this question answer session, only part of thereof, so that you have a taste of how it happened and how it went. I said they were divided into two groups of scholars. Some said that Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa opposed the hadith, and the other said certainly not. She did not oppose the hadith. She pointed out at the true meaning with the help of the verse Khatam al-Nabiyyin. So I said that shows that the verse Khatam al-Nabiyyin was not understood in the terms of finality by them. This was the point he had raised. I didn't say that it was Aisha's opinion, but the scholars took it as her quoting Khatam al-Nabiyyin against La Nabiya Badi. If the Muslims had understood directly from the term Khatam al-Nabiyyin that there will be no prophet after him of any sort, then she couldn't have quoted this verse against La Nabiya Badi, because it would be supporting it instead of contradicting the commonly understood meaning. So when I explained, he understood again. And I said, look here, what is your answer to this? Again, when Rasulullah Akram sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in one hadith, one single hadith quoted in Muslim, that Isa will come and Isa will do this and Isa will do this, and every time he mentions him, he says Isa Nabiullah, Isa Nabiullah, Isa Nabiullah, 4 times in one hadith. So when all the Sahaba accepted this and did not raise a single question with reference to this verdict of Muhammad Rasulullah, how can you say that they were unanimous in the meaning that the term finality was understood by them as you understand it? Because if they had, they would immediately raise the question, Ya Rasulullah, you have already explained the meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin to us to mean no prophet whatsoever afterwards. And now you are telling us that Isa Nabiullah would come. And moreover, they should have raised the question that you have never told us that Isa has gone to the heavens, bodily, lifted there. So how could he come again? You see, they never raised this question either, because there is not a single hadith speaking of the life of Jesus Christ and speaking of his being alive and having ascended to heaven. So the descent, when it does not follow the mention of ascent, can only be interpreted as spiritual descent. But if it is put in juxtaposition to the earlier statement of somebody's ascent, only then you can expect a literal physical descent, not otherwise. Like Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is also mentioned to have descended. قَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكُمْ ذِكْرًا رَسُولًا. أنزل الله عليكم ذکر رسول آگے ہے پھر ایک اور بھی یہاں قد انزل اللہ علیکم ذکرا. That's one verse, but we read it together because there is a word la. Don't stop here, run on into the next one. قد انزل الله علیکم ذکر رسولا یتلو علیکم آیات اللہ مبینات لیخرج الذین آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور. This is the verse which I quoted, and I told them that look here, Rasulullah descends, and you translate it, he was born. Jesus descends, and you translate, descend from heaven bodily. What right have you got? Unless Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had categorically declared that you believe Jesus is dead, he is not dead. He is alive in the heavens. He was lifted to heaven by God. This most important event of Jesus' life is not mentioned at all by Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unbelievable. If it had happened as a unique incident in the entire history of prophethood. Because according to the belief of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is no prophet known to have ascended to heaven bodily. There is no such hadith. Isa was the only one which was a possible candidate for this, and he didn't mention it. So, despite that, when he said he would come as a Rasul, the Sahaba should have raised their eyebrows on two issues. Number one, Khatam al-Nabiyyin is explained in a manner that a prophet would still come. And number two, Jesus is mentioned as having descended while he never ascended. These questions were not raised, indicating positively that their understanding of this was in agreement with Ahmadiyya view, not with their view. So I explained it not exactly in the same word, but in similar terms, and he seemed to be answerless, if not satisfied. You see, the mullahs of Pakistan, they go on saying something, all rubbish, go on talking and talking. No, this and that. This. But this was a gentleman, of course. I repeat that. When he was disarmed, he accepted that, but tried to escape into other nooks and corners. So when this was finished, then I took him to task. I said, look here, I have a good impression of you. You were honest, but not honest enough. When you demanded arguments from the Quran, what was implied was that after the Holy Quran, there is nothing left. If the Quran is on your side, I will be on your side. That was implied. And when I quoted the Quran, you didn't answer my argument. Obviously, by your silence, you accepted it. And yet, you tried to escape into Hadith. And when I satisfied you in Hadith because you never answered back, you escaped into another arena. This means that you have come with an intention not to accept. Otherwise, for a normal person, when the Quran is quoted, one should accept it. So then another person, his friend who had come with him, he started asking his questions. So when I answered that, I could see, gloom covering their faces. They were not happy. I don't say they were converted, of course not. But they were not happy because they had found answers to questions which they thought were unanswerable. So it happens, but it leads others to guidance. This is the beauty of this. There was a group of some very noble Afghans who were nobles in their country and were noble-minded here as well. You could see from their bearing, the whole family, and the grown-up men and some elderly men and ladies were there. Somebody told me later on that when they went out, they said, although we didn't ask questions, but the answer was so satisfying and deeply convincing that we didn't have to ask questions. So we hope, inshallah, at least they will be led to Ahmadiyya, with the blessing of this session. So this is just a small incident. This lasted about 5 hours, this meeting. Not that I was talking all the time, but because of the translations into Dutch and into Arabic. Both translations were done simultaneously. So how can I tell you a gist of that 5-hour long meeting in a matter of a few minutes, can I? But I have given you a taste of how it happens, and the atmosphere is very interesting, very lively.
لقد سأل الأخ عبادة عن رحلة أمير المؤمنين إلى هولندا وبلجيكا، وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين يجب أن تكونوا أن تحددوا السؤال، وإلا كيف أسرد لكم كل الأحداث التي حدثت في في هذين البلدين. ف في هذه البلدان قمنا بعقد مجالس أسئلة وأجوبة، وقد شرفوا بعض الضيوف من المغرب ودول أخرى، وقاموا بعرض بعض الأسئلة على حضرة أمير المؤمنين طالبين الإجابة. وقد كان هنالك رجل أو شخص عربي الأصل، وطلب من حضرة أمير المؤمنين وعرض بعض الأسئلة، وقال أنه يريد بعض البراهين من القرآن الكريم بالنسبة لختم النبوة. وقد أجابه حضرة أمير المؤمنين، والرجل لم يكن لديه أي رد على ما قدمه حضرة أمير المؤمنين، صار ينتقل من موضوع إلى آخر، فانتقل إلى الحديث، وبدأ يسأل بالنسبة لما ورد في الحديث، بالنسبة للحديث الذي يقول لا نبي بعدي، أي لا نبي بعد الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال له حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن هل هنالك حديث واحد فقط للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ تعالوا نجمع كل هذه الأحاديث معا، وعندها نقرر ما عناه وفهمه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين له ما قالته السيدة عائشة عندما سمعت أحدا يقول لا نبي بعده لا نبي بعده، نادته وقالت له لا تقولوا لا نبي بعده، ولكن قولوا أنه خاتم النبيين. فلماذا السيدة عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت وأمرت هذا الشخص بأن لا يقول لا نبي بعده؟ فما فهمته السيدة عائشة لم يكن ما يفهمه الملات والمشايخ في هذا اليوم، فلقد فهمت من آية خاتم النبيين ليس ما يقوله الملات أنه لا نبي بعد الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. وقد ذكر الرسول صلى الله عليه
I put it a slightly different way. I said that Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu ta'ala anha was fully confident that when I point to the verse Khatam al-Nabiyyin, then they will never misinterpret the meaning of La Nabiyya Ba'dahu, which meant that according to her understanding, the verse Khatam al-Nabiyyin did not carry the meaning of La Nabiyya Ba'd. If according to her understanding it had the same meaning, then she wouldn't use it as a weapon in her hand against the twisted meaning in the mind of the person. She was so sure. And none of the scholars of her time or after, contradicted this argument. Some took her to oppose this view, and some said she was helping the man to understand the true meaning, which is of course our own attitude. But this is the beauty of her intelligence as well. We have got half our deen, according to some Sunni scholars, from Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu ta'ala anha. On this issue, why did they not debate that she had violated the sanctity of Khatm al-Nubuwwat? Have they ever done it? Could they ever do it? So when we say the same thing, we have violated the sanctity. She did not. So this is what I told them, and please try to express it.
لقد صحني حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال أنا قمت بعرضها بشكل يختلف قليلا، وقال أن السيدة عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها كانت واثقة مما قالته لهذا الرجل، وأن آية خاتم النبيين لم تحمل نفس المعنى التي تحملها جملة لا نبي بعدي. فمن علمها وفهمها في أن لا نبي بعدي قد تضلل بعض الناس، لهذا قامت بأمر هذا الرجل في أن يقول خاتم النبيين لكي لا يضلل الناس إذا قال لا نبي بعدي. وذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن طبقا لبعض الفرق السنية يقولون أن عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أن نتعلم نصف الدين من السيدة عائشة. فعندما قالت السيد لماذا لم يعترض المشايخ على ما قالته السيدة عائشة، فالبعض يعترضون على ذلك ويقولوا أنها عارضت ما ذكر عارضت قضية ختم النبوة بقولها هذا، ولكن البعض يقولون لا، لم تعارض ذلك، وإنما ما قالته السيدة عائشة هو صحيح. فعندما يقول الأحمديين نفس الشيء الذي قالته السيدة عائشة، يقوم المشايخ بمعارضة ذلك ويقولون أن الأحمديين لا يؤمنون بمسألة ختم النبوة. فهذا نفس الشيء ما قالت به السيدة عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها. وذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا أن في حديث للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حيث ذكر على أن عيسى الذي سينزل في المستقبل سيقوم بهذا الشيء وذلك الشيء، وذكر أنه نبي الله بالتكرار. فلماذا لم يسأل الصحابة عند ذلك ولم يطرحوا الأسئلة على الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بأن بالنسبة لقضية عيسى عليه الصلاة والسلام، أو بالنسبة لا نبي بعدي؟ فهذا شيء فهمه الصحابة ولم يكن لديهم أي شك في ذلك. وذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا أنه لم يذكر في أي حديث عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أن عيسى عليه الصلاة والسلام صعد إلى السماء. فإذا أنه لم يصعد إلى السماء لم يذكر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه صعد إلى السماء، فنزوله لا بد وأن يكون بالمعنى المجازي، حيث أيضا ذكر عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في القرآن الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، أنزل الله إليكم قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا رسولا. فكيف تفسرون بالنسبة للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه نزل بشكل مجازي، وتفسرون نزول المسيح عيسى بن مريم عليه الصلاة والسلام بالشكل الحقيقي؟ فأي حق لديكم في الفصل أو تفسير هذه نفس الكلمة بتفاسير مختلفة؟ فمن هذا نفهم أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يؤمن بأن أي رسول من قبله عرج إلى السماء بجسده العنصري، وإنما
Another thing I can tell, if you can't read that, the Holy Quran presents the case of the non-believers demanding a miracle from Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he should rise to the heaven and descend before us carrying a book. In answer to that, Allah teaches him the answer. Qul subhana rabbi hal kuntu illa bashara rasula. This rise and descent, both should be seen with our own eyes. Tell them, Subhana Rabbi, God is far above such blemishes. Hal kuntu illa bashar rasula. I am only merely a man and a prophet. So despite that, if Jesus Christ had risen before him, the whole people who listened to this answer would have risen in protest. That, O Prophet of God, why are you inconsistent about your beliefs? On the one hand, you believe that Jesus Christ had ascended bodily, and at the same time you believe that he would descend again bodily, and both these things will be witnessed by people. When we demand the same thing from you, you say, Hal kuntu illa bashar rasula. What do you mean? Was Jesus not a bashar? Or was he not a Rasul? This is exactly what the Christians believe. So do you interpret this like that and support the Christian belief in the literal sonship of God? Because with this argument, if he had risen, what we can prove is only this, that he was neither Bashar nor Rasul. Exactly the belief of the Christians. So when you say these things to these unfortunate inquirers, I don't know what happens to them. They're mesmerized, but they don't respond. Which means they're determined not to. There's one thing I wanted to tell them in the end, but there was time was too much. You know, there hardly any time left for Isha prayer before 12 o'clock when we parted. But I'll tell you later on what I had in mind. Yes.
لقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أيضا بأن هذا الرجل الذي حضر لهذا المجلس كان صريحا، ولكن قال له حضرة أمير المؤمنين لم تكن صريحا بما فيه الكفاية. ففي بداية الأمر ذكرت وأردت حصر الأمر في القرآن في تحت ظل القرآن الكريم، وعندما أجبتك انتقلت إلى الحديث، وعندما أجبتك بالنسبة للحديث حاولت التملص والهروب إلى مواضيع أخرى. وهذا يدل على أنك قدمت إلى هذا المكان، إلى هذا المجلس مصمما في أن لا تقتنع وأن تتقبل ما يقدم لك من أجوبة. وذكر حضرته أيضا أن كان هنالك من الأفغان الذين اشتركوا في هذا المجلس، وكانوا من الرجال والشيوخ والنساء أيضا، وقالوا بالرغم من عدم طرح أي سؤال من قبلنا، ولكن وجدنا أن الأجوبة مقنعة لنا. وقد استمر هذا المجلس ما يقارب 5 ساعات، وكانت هنالك أيضا الترجمة الفورية إلى اللغة المحلية الداتش واللغة العربية أيضا. فكيف سيروي لنا ويسرد لنا حضرة أمير المؤمنين ما حدث في ال5 ساعات في بعض الدقائق قليلة في هذا البرنامج. وذكر حضرته أيضا أن عندما طلب بعض بالنسبة لموضوع صعود المسيح عليه الصلاة والسلام إلى السماء ونزوله، قال بأن بعض الناس أو الكفار طلبوا من الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يصعد إلى السماء وينزل بكتاب من السماء. فماذا كان رد الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حيث قال: سبحان ربي هل كنت إلا بشرا رسولا. أين الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: أنا فقط بشرا ورسولا ولا أستطيع القيام بهذا الشيء. فجميع الحاضرين لم يعترضوا على الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ويقولون أن عيسى عليه الصلاة والسلام صعد إلى السماء، وحسب أقوالك أنه سينزل مرة أخرى في المستقبل. فهذا يدل على أن هذا يدل مما يقولونه على أن فسأل حضرة أمير المؤمنين: هل لم يكن المسيح عيسى بن مريم بشرا ولم يكن رسولا؟ فالاستنتاج من هذا نستطيع أن نستنتج ما يؤمن به المسيحيين، حيث يقولون أن عيسى عليه الصلاة والسلام ليس بشرا وليس رسولا، أي أن عيسى إذا أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في هذه الجملة أي أن البشر والرسول لا يمكنه القيام بهذا الشيء. وكذلك عيسى بن مريم إذا أنه لم يكن بشرا ولم يكن رسولا، فهذا ما يؤمن به المسيحيين.
So this is just a sample of what passed between us in long sessions, which continued day in and day out. Continuously, this was the job. In the morning, some session with somebody else. In the evenings, with someone else. Sometimes we had 3 sessions together in one day. But with the grace of Allah, I was feeling strong and all right. So now, I would like you to ask any question if you like. If you want particularly some aspects of the tour to be highlighted, then I will. Otherwise, as I told you, I have given you some specimens of how I passed the time. But it's impossible to give a full detailed report from the day 1 to the end of the day, right?
لقد قال حضرة أمير المؤمنين: هذا ما قمنا به كل يوم، وحيث قمنا بعقد مجالس كهذه، وكان البرنامج مكتظا، والحمد لله لقد مررنا بهذه الدورة، والحمد لله نحن مرة أخرى رجعنا إلى البلد. ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين: لا نستطيع أن نسرد كل ما حدث في هذه الدورة من الألف إلى الياء في مجلس كهذا، فهذا صعب تقديمه في برنامج قصير كهذا. وإذا كان لدينا أي سؤال نستطيع تقديمه لحضرة أمير المؤمنين.
Yes, Fazul, I have a question about the meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the verse of Khatam al-Nabiyyin. It says that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was not the father of any of men of this world, but he was Rasulullah and Khatam al-Nabiyyin. And we understand from this that he was the spiritual father of the prophets.
That's right.
But my question is about the title of Hazrat Ibrahim, Abu al-Anbiya. What is the difference between the status of Hazrat Ibrahim and...
You see, the word Abu is used there, I mean, mainly literally, in fact. Abu al-Anbiya is not a title given to him by God anywhere in any scriptures. It is a title given to him, proposed for him by people, because they know that he was the father of many prophets, in a progeny of prophets. And also Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was to be born into his progeny. And again, the entire line of prophets of Bani Israel, if not all of them, a great majority was most certainly his progeny. So as such, no single man is known to have given birth to so many prophets, running into the end of time, that he is referred to as Abu al-Anbiya. But I have never read any title granted to him by God as Abu al-Anbiya. So, but the word Khatam is a title given by God. That's one difference. And the other difference is it is given in a special context. And that context does not apply to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He was granted male issues by God. So you can't say that he was not Ma kana Ibrahimu aba ahadim min rijalikum. He was father to many sons. So this meaning of this contrast between one situation and other does not apply to the situation of Ibrahim ﷺ at all. So remember, first, Abraham was not given a title by God of Abu al-Anbiya. It was a promise to him that from your progeny there will be many great people born. And in response to that, he prayed that whatever blessing God had given him, it should also be shared by his progeny. Remember this, it's very important. Now, they believe Hazrat Ibrahim ﷺ to be a very highly placed prophet, whose position was after Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam above all other prophets according to the unanimous belief of the Muslim scholars. He was second only to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Yet imagine the one who was second, when he is bestowed a blessing, he requests Allah, please let my progeny share it with me. But when Muhammad Rasulullah is blessed with the same, God told him or tells him that none of the blessings we have bestowed will ever be shared by anybody in the world afterwards. So how do you compare the two attitudes? Why didn't Rasulullah say, oh God, when Abraham wanted this blessing to continue in his progeny, you said, La yanalu ahad zalimin. Only the transgressor will not receive the blessing, the rest will. What about me? Am I not the best? Are you telling me that I will not leave any literal progeny nor a spiritual progeny? So what is left for me? The enemy is mocking at me, they are laughing at my not having given birth to a male issue. And you say, no, you don't know enough. We know more. he has now neither given birth to a male issue, nor will he ever give birth to a prophet, a son, a spiritual son. So he is na'udhu billah min zalik, 1,000 million times. He was up there according to this verse, not only physically but also spiritually. Can any sane man with an iota of wisdom in his mind readily accept this answer in the context of what I have said? Regardless of the context, you may go on believing in Rasulullah Sallam as having this special honor of being Khatam, but not in the context which the verse presents and which I have just developed. The enemy said, O Prophet of God, what sort of prophet you are? You are not blessed with any son, while we, the non-prophets, are blessed with daughters but also with sons. So what sort of favorite you are of God? The answer is, you don't know enough. He is neither the father of a physical son, nor a father of a spiritual son. Because lakin presents a contrast. Ma kana Muhammadun aba ahadim min rijalikum walakir Rasulallahi wa khataman nabiyyin. See? So that obviously is a contrast. He is not a father of people like you, but he is khataman nabiyyin, which means he is a father of a different type. This is the only meaning. So the word khatam, as you have suggested earlier, has the same connotation as Aba or Abu. But Abu is used in literal sense and Khatam is used in the spiritual sense. Right? So he was Khatam to all the Nabiyyin. Now that is the width or the expanse of this term, which cannot be covered by the word Abu at all. Hazrat Abraham was Abu Lambiya with relation to the future prophets. He was not Abu Lambiya with relation to the past prophets. The word Khatam has a different connotation altogether. It has no sense of time confining the meaning. A father cannot be with relation to the past people, but Khatam can. And Khatam can also be Khatam in relation to the future. So this is a term which is timeless. This is what I want to emphasize in answer to your question. The word Abu and Khatam are two different terms. Although Khatam means a sense, contains a connotation of perfect abuwat. But I'll come to that later. The most important difference is that Khatamiyat is timeless. And that is why, in support of this, I quote a hadith of Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says that I was Khatamun Nabiyyin. Before people were born, I was Khatamun Nabiyyin. When Adam was turning in and out in the very mud of his creation, turning sides, that is, he was being created, in the offing. Yet he was Khatamun Nabiyyin. So if Khatamun Nabiyyin is timeless, if he was Khatamun Nabiyyin even before Adam was born, why was Adam born as a prophet? He should have been aborted, because before him stood the Khatam. So after Khatam there can be nothing according to the meaning, common popular meaning. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that he was Khatam even before the birth of Adam, then Adam should not have been born at all. How could a beginner come after the Khatam? So that is a tradition of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which also throws ample light not only the word Khatam but also the difference between Khatamiyat and Abawiyat. Khatamiyat is timeless. One can be the father of prophets, even of those who were before him, because Khatamiyat carries the sense of imprint, which is also shared physically by Abawiyat. You know, al-walad sirru li abihi. The son is recognized by the qualities, not only the qualities, he is recognized by the qualities which he receives from his father. So his sirru li abihi, to learn the qualities of the father, you find out the qualities of the son. A true son will always carry the qualities of his father if he is true. Such a father, such a son, such a son, such a father, as they say in English. So this Khatamiyat has that sense of Abawiyat. Khatam is a stamp which transfers all its features. If it is a good stamp, it transfers completely all its features upon the parchment on which it is stamped. So if you, the meaning is, now this is timeless. If the features of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a prophet are found in any prophet, even before his time, no one can say he is a false man, because al-waladu sirru li abihi. He has the imprint of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's character and style. Now, if somebody claims to be a prophet and he contradicts the qualities of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then he can't be called a prophet. So the term Khatamiyat is timeless as well as spaceless. It works throughout the space. And that is also the meaning of universality of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Khatamiyat and universality is one and the same thing. If he had not testified to the truth of all the prophets of the world, which he did, he could neither be Khatam al-Nabiyyin, because he would not testify, nor could he be universal, because he rejected the prophets of a certain region of the world or a certain time of the world. So if you study the term Khatamiyat in depth, you will pity those who have limited the sense only to the final in time. It's a beautiful term, it's so rich, so profound, and which testifies to the truth of the Quran of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in such a distinctive manner that no religion on earth can claim equality in this regard. So Khatamiyat can be proved by the declaration of every Muslim that we believe in God, in books, in angels, in books, in prophets, in all the prophets, in all the books. This is Khatamiyat. He's testified. Bring me one prophet from the past or from the present or from anywhere in the world whose book, whose teachings make it compulsory on his followers that they should testify to the truth of all the prophets of all the times. I've been challenging people with this. They come to the question and answer sessions, the Christians and Jews, etc., Hindus, Buddhists. I say, bring one single verse from your book which makes it compulsory upon your followers to testify to the truth of all the prophets of the world of all times. If you can't, then you must admit that the only universal prophet is the one who has also become Khatam. So this is the meaning of Khatamiyat in relation to universality. Now, do you say the time is over? How could it be? We were to continue till the Maghrib prayer at 9:30. No? We started late.
We started yesterday 8 o'clock, 8 to 9.
Oh, is that right? So that is why you have started earlier. So you must be all very tired. Yeah? I didn't know that. I'm sorry. So tomorrow, let's be clear about the timing. Huh?
From 8:30 to 9:30.
No, I don't know, but find out from the prayer secretary. This is the impression I had that was exceptional yesterday, and the normal time was from 8:30 to 9:30, because then we have more time for mulaqat, etc. But anyway, let's call it a day, although a bit later. Okay? But will you translate it now or afterwards, tomorrow maybe? Okay, before I come. Assalamu alaikum.